Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Satanic Mass with Reverend Black. I'm your host, Reverend Black. And tonight, whatever the hell it is now, we are here with the band, Another Anthem.
What's up?
Gentlemen,
Hello.
how the hell are you?
We are
doing great, man.
real good.
Stoked, honored to have you guys in.
We're honored to be here.
So, the first band of the interviews for the Medford Metal Fest that I'm doing
Oh, we're the
so
first?
far. Yep.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start them a little bit early, and I figured the week of
I don't
seems
blame
like
you.
a good
When
one.
you reached out and you were like, otherwise I have to interview 14 bands in one day, I was like, okay,
14
yeah, we'll
bands
try
in a day is a
That's-
whole lot.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's a whole different type of interview too. It's like, hey, what's your name? Okay, cool. Next.
Right. Well, hopefully I'm gonna get a little bit more than that, but
yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be an adventure. It's gonna be a lot quicker than what we'll be doing tonight.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, first of all, how long you guys been together?
We have been together this year 18 years.
18?
yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
There's been a rotating cast
I was gonna say
since the beginning, but
these guys are newer.
He and I are the only original members.
Yeah.
But
I say newer, but like I mean, Andrew's
Like 12 years ago.
I was gonna say still a really long time, and Andrew's
it's been more than 10 years
Greg's
for me.
13 years, this
Yeah.
g's 12 years.
Oh shit, I
And
wasn't. I
And
wasn't
then,
wrong.
and then we
Yeah.
have, we have
And
the
then
baby
this-
of the
This is
band.
the next guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 18 years. We started, but we were kids when we started. Yeah, so like 2006 and
No, that's rad. By listening to you guys, you sound like you're very well in touch with what the others are doing.
Yeah.
So you
You'd hope so
sound, you
after
sound
18
like a
years, right?
secret
Yeah.
band.
yeah.
So it makes sense that you say 18 years. 'Cause
I don't even know how to be in a band with anybody.
You guys
Yeah.
are fucking. You're very tight.
Thank you.
I
I
really enjoy the music too.
I think the biggest reason for that is aside from Bailey being the newer guy, like the four of the rest of us.
I don't even know if you can call him a newer guy at this point.
Oh, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
Just last fall, but yeah, the rest of us have been playing together now for, like I said, 12 years with this,
Yeah.
with four of us, and then the 5-piece is a newer thing, but
Although the first couple times we played with Bailey, it felt like he had been there the
'Cause
whole
he's-
time too.
he's
'Cause
such a-
super talented.
ridiculously
so,
good.
yeah.
If you've seen this guy playing around the valley in other bands, you get it.
Well, you guys are so tight, it was very comfortable to kind of step into. You guys know what you're doing.
We were already up to a level where you didn't
Yep.
have to like pull
Exactly.
us
Well,
along.
that's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
a plus, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
You don't have to jump in and try to teach them what the
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah. Nobody's
Yeah,
teaching anybody.
no.
It was perfect. It was
No,
a really
that's
good.
cool.
Yeah.
And this has actually been kind of like a fun, happy accident because Craig needed to step away and take some time for himself, and it ended up being a temporary deal. But we got Bailey in the fold because these two guys knew each other from playing in another band, and then Craig wanted to come back, and it was like, why not like have 3 guitars? That's gnarly and awesome. And so now we have 3 guitars, and we're not going to do it forever. This guy's moving, unfortunately, in June or July, excuse me. And but we're like, hey, screw it, let's do 3 guitars. And so Metal Fest actually in the first show with this lineup.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we did what, a 3-piece for one show while Craig was out, but before Bailey was in,
That's
and
right.
we did some stuff with Bailey, and then this is
Yeah.
gonna be the first time all together.
And we got some recordings coming up that have Bailey on them, and hopefully we'll do a few before he moves that are gonna have like all 5 of us. And
Sweet.
yeah.
So, for those out there who may not know your music, what genre do you guys consider your music? Now, I see you laughing already. I do this on purpose because this genre thing with bands is over the top sometimes,
Right.
and I have to ask. So
I would.
No,
let- let-
fun.
you really do, right? It's
Yeah,
the only
it
way to
is.
classify it, but no, it's
Let's play
the
this
worst
game.
question to answer.
no, I know.
Everybody go
That's
down the
why I
line.
enjoy it so much.
So whenever somebody finds out I'm in a band, they're like, "Well, what kind of music do you play?" I'm like, it's like, okay, it's pop punk with a flavor of hardcore is what I usually.
Okay, what do you think,
I like what he said. I think
Yeah.
that's right, actually.
Bailey's
I think you
like-
got it.
Andrew?
I just say punk. I keep it simple.
Punk? That's-
Yeah, I usually do too. Just say just because it's like the easiest go-to.
Yeah.
Like, and people usually go, oh.
So-
anyway, so you know, like
For me, I always, it depends on who's asking me this question. So a music guy like yourself, I would answer it specifically and be like, we're pop punk, hardcore, but we're very influenced by like 90s skate punk, like NoFX and Lagwagon. But if it's somebody that clearly doesn't know any of that, I'll say, do you know who Green Day is? Do you know who Blink-182 is? And then, because also if I say like, because we're really influenced by like The Ghost Inside and Stick to Your Guns and hardcore bands like that, they're not gonna know that. So I'll just go, okay, like our poppiest stuff is very influenced by like pop punk bands. So, but yeah, I would say I agree with these guys, like pop punk, hardcore. But we love like Bad Religion too. So like that punk influence is definitely
Right on.
And I love when we also, love way heavier stuff too. That's like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I was stoked that we're on this festival, and then you asked us to do this because we might from a lineup perspective, we're the odd ducks. But I was just on Omar's radio show, and we were talking about this, and I love playing metal shows because it's always a challenge to win over the gnarliest metalheads. But then what's dope is, especially this era of music, because it wasn't always like this. There used to be that division of like, punkers didn't go to metal shows, metalheads didn't go to punk shows. And I like that that's changed. Like you go to a Johnny B's show, it's the weirdest smattering of people.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. It's like a dirty hippie guy, like a punker, and then a metalhead, and like everybody's moshing to just random music. But yeah, we've always, on the surface, we might be like that softer band, but we like playing with metal bands because like we have some heavier stuff, and so we like to try to win those people over. And my favorite thing is when the gnarliest metal dude, like with like Slayer back patch and everything, comes just like, yo, you guys were sick. Those breakdowns are dope. You know, I used to listen to like NoFX and Bad Religion, and then I got into metal, but like I used to love that, like the music you guys do. That's always like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I love to.
No, I think
love to
that's
get.
cool.
Yeah.
Right. So, I take it you guys have probably done some touring. Is that correct?
A little
Maybe.
bit.
Yeah,
Little bit here and
we've
there.
done a little bit.
We just did the mini tour.
Yeah, we did a
in
mini Northwest run for the first time in a while. I think COVID was a setback with that, and then so we hadn't played out of town in a really long time. But we just did for a little bit, and then we'll go over to like Klamath Falls like once a year. But we haven't done for all the years we've been together. We haven't done like huge tours because all respect to our peers running through that time. But most of those bands that like went full like we're touring all the time, they're not bands anymore. So
It's
whereas
easy to burn out. For sure, yeah.
we were kind of kept it on that balance of like we're trying to be serious, professional with the band, but then we all have day jobs, and I think that's honestly led to the longevity as well because we haven't lost that love of it. But no disrespect to those bands, I get it. Like we were very close several times to be like, should we just like, especially when you're young, we were like,
Oh yeah.
should we just like not work and then just go on tour?
And
And
I
then,
remember whenever I was 17, that would have been like 1 year in. Yeah, we were always dreaming about.
and we did more touring back then because
Right, yeah.
like we didn't have as many responsibilities. Like we didn't have careers. Like he didn't
Yeah.
have kids. We
Yeah.
didn't have wives. So it was a lot easier. But I do think that making that active decision to like, okay, this is we're gonna take it serious, but it's a hobby. I think that kind of helped the longevity for sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
Because we didn't like get in a van for 60 days and want to kill each other.
Some people can do that. I don't think we are. I don't think we're those people.
I've been there.
I was saying we've done. Matt and I have
Done some other ones.
gone 4 or 5 days, and we found out that that's probably about our limit before
It's
a good-
hard.
we'll end the
Right.
band if we're in a van for longer than that.
It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
I mean, you can enjoy the presence of people and all that and stuff, but when you're locked with them in a freaking
It's more than just hanging
can.
out.
You haven't
Yeah.
showered
You
for
know,
3 days.
and
Like,
yeah, everybody's got. Well, we won't even go there.
Right?
Yeah.
For
But-
sure, for sure.
Yeah, just days in any vehicle with anybody is gonna be hard.
So
I don't
mad
care who
props.
it is and how much you love them.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Oh no, for
Yeah.
sure.
That's why I always give mad respect to any band you see that's on tour, especially if they're on like a long tour, especially if they're like a mid-level or
What
lower
was-
band that's on a long tour, because you know that they're sleeping in a van.
What-
You
what
know,
was-
with these guys.
What was the name of that kid that we played the show with that they were doing 100 shows in 100 days?
Houston and the Dirty Rats.
Yes.
100 shows.
Shout,
in 100
I don't know
days.
if you're still together, Houston Dirty Rats,
I
but
feel
shout
like
out to you. That is insane. I
Yeah.
I
told
feel
that
like
guy.
you just make up these band names.
No,
not,
no,
not because they sound weird, but because he has like perfect recall with bands that we've played with in the past.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
I-
So
yeah.
don't quiz me. I'll lose all of them.
But I remember when we played with them, we opened for them
That was
at
at
Johnny
Johnny's,
B's,
yeah.
and then I straight up, I shook the dude's hand and I was just like, you know what? Bless your heart, because I could never do what you're doing
No.
right now. And, respect, because, that's gnarly.
Yeah, 100 shows period is
That's-
a lot. And then doing it in 100 days, too, that's like tight, man.
And
Yeah,
like
that's
things,
crazy.
Yeah, things
Barely-
barely over 3 months. Like,
yeah, things have changed over the years, and like that would have been gnarly like 10 years ago
Yeah.
when it was that's how people toured more often. Like, so it was insane to hear like, oh yeah, just a couple years ago they were doing that.
So, with any of your even small travels, have you guys encountered any strange events on the road? Something that you're like, oh god, you guys remember that time?
you remember
I
that
don't
time
know.
we almost played at a strip club?
Almost.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a good story because it's
Oh,
almost.
it's a great story.
So we can't.
It'd be
so
better if it was, remember that
we-
time we did that.
We
Yeah.
won't say the band we were on tour with, but here's a cautionary tale. Do not bring your romantic partners on tour. This band, one of their members did. And so we had this show lined up. It was at like a punk squat house. We get there. It's an empty house.
Oh, and it's decrepit too.
Yeah.
Like it
that
looks
one
like
fell
a
through.
horror story house. Like
And
it
we're-
is-
I was,
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
looking
right?
forward to it. I was
like,
looking forward to it. I was like, this is gonna
Yeah,
be sketchy as
But
hell.
it was just like abandoned. And so like I think what happened is I think that what they were doing is like doing like pirate shows and like breaking into abandoned places and throwing like a show, and it fell through because
fucking awesome.
but then
But-
we got a hold of the booker, and then she's like, oh well, yeah, it fell through, but hit up this person. There's a strip club right down the road. They can maybe have you guys play on a stage in between the stripper poles. So I called them up and they're like, yeah, we can't pay you, but sure, if you guys want to do that. And myself, Logan, and Craig, we all really wanted to do it. I think you were kind of like,
We're
I'm ready to
burying
go
the
home.
lead here.
but-
What was the name of the strip club?
Hard Candy.
I am so upset I missed this.
right?
But then the drummer of the band we were on tour with, again, they shall remain nameless. He had his partner out, and she's like, "Yeah,
Absolutely
he's not playing it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And put the kibosh on it, and it was kind of put us in it was a dual touring package that kind of put us in a bad position of like, okay, these guys can't do it, so then we'd have to kind of like ditch them on the road to do, and it was awkward. But we've talked about it since then. I wish we'd just been like, okay, well, too bad, we're gonna play.
Fuck it, we're gonna go do it.
It has
this
been a
time,
crazy story,
right?
but.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that didn't happen. But I would say, to really answer that question, and only you'll remember this because it was like early days, our very first tour. We went out to Wyoming, and do you remember when we drove through the fire in the desert?
Oh yeah.
That was gnarly. So we were just like middle of the desert, and I think like most of us were like asleep, and then the guy that was driving was like, "Everybody wake up!" And we wake up, and there's just walls of fire on every side. Like, this is no bullshit. And basically like a wildfire erupted in the desert, and they hadn't blocked the road yet. And so they're like, we're just like, okay, we're driving through it, and I remember you could feel the heat through
The
the
best,
glass.
the
It was-
best thing about this is that we're in Chesterfield's old van that used to be the van that they would cart prisoners around to do trash
Right.
pickup. And so it's kind of fucked up and decrepit because it was used to just cart prisoners around. And they had it set up so that it wouldn't, the AC was messed up where if you turned on the AC, it would blow cold in the front and hot in the back. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
as we're going through this place, he fucking cranks the AC, and I'm like,
Because he's like, it's hot.
like my legs are fucking burning back here, you guys, because the vent, it's like already hot as shit. Yeah, no.
I would say the wall of fire is like
The wall-
is
Wall of fire, and Jesse trying to bake me on the inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, the wall of fire sounds like it would be
Yeah, that was probably the
one to wake up.
yeah
to.
right?
the weirdest, wildest
yeah,
one for sure.
yeah.
So, how about musical inspirations?
Yeah,
We're starting with you.
Yeah.
He's
I
on the
was
spot.
not supposed to say anything. I'm holding the microphone. That
He's
was
just
my
got the
job.
microphone
Well,
clipped to his
what
hand.
does Marshawn Lynch say? I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Yeah, I'm just here so I won't get fined.
Andrew's just here so I won't get fined. No. Musical inspiration.
I would say Bad Religion's probably my number one. I mean, that's kind of what I grew up listening to.
Hell yeah.
That's
We all
yeah,
love
my
Yeah.
number one band.
No,
I mean, there's a lot of other ones, but I'm sure it's going to be very similar throughout
Oh, yeah.
all the answers.
Well,
So.
and I mean, like, I would say for sure that's a big one for me. NoFX, Pennywise, bands we already mentioned, but then, like, Social D, obviously. I know that's a huge one for several of us, but, yeah. No, all the greats, man. Like, the 2000s, like, punk rock shit is like really what just grabbed me and kind of put me on the path. And then obviously since then, being in a band for this long now, it's like to list all the musical influences, like that's over that many years.
Well,
it's
yeah,
like,
we don't need all
right.
of
No, for sure. That's what I'm saying. It's like it grows, exponentially from there. But those were definitely the first ones that really grabbed me and put me on the path for what we're doing at least.
Yeah. For me, a lot of the like social punk rock like that was out there preaching a lot of stuff about like progressiveness and moving things forward. Bad Religion, Anti-Flag, and there's a lot of bands that just kind of like, because I grew up in an area where there wasn't a lot of progression going on. So I was like looking around, I was like, this all sucks. And then got into punk rock and had I was like, okay, like I get it. Like there's people out there that agree with me. That's great. So a lot of just
if you don't mention Metallica as one of your influences,
Yeah.
I swear to God. For those that
so
don't know,
lyrically,
I was gonna say
those bands, but musically Metallica.
Yeah.
When we're not doing our punk rock riffs and stuff, and I'm just riffing around, it's all chuggy.
Most of what Craig plays are Metallica riffs. So,
my solos are rippy, not nearly as good as Hammett, but I try. So yeah.
Right on.
What about you, babe?
I think band's gonna have maybe a little bit different take on this.
Yeah, well, I was gonna take it in at least a direction that kind of, because I typically tend to play music that's a little bit different than what I've been playing with another Anthem, but I'm having an absolute blast and loving it, and I think I'm able to draw a little bit on some stuff that I got into, especially early on, that I've been able to use a little bit. So like, when I was getting into guitar, when I was getting into music, I was super into the Clash. Really into Sabbath and really into the Libertines, which is sort of in that garagey, punky zone. So yeah, definitely some early punk in me too.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love
Nice.
too that you have like a different set of influences because it's really
So what other
Open
music do you
hearts.
play then?
Yeah, I play a little bit more in the just sort of standard front and center rock space and less on the metal side. So the stuff that I've been having the hardest time wrapping my head around has been sort of just chugging palm muty stuff that I don't tend to do in my everyday life. But I guess, so my favorite guitarist in my life is Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. That's sort of where I came from and what I come to everything from.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
For me, it would be Bruce Springsteen, NoFX, the Beatles. Metallica is a huge one in terms of heavy music, and then probably, as funny as it sounds, Terror, the hardcore band.
Oh yeah.
Like
Hell yeah.
they've influenced a ton of like the breakdowns and kind of the more chunky sort of rhythm stuff that I've written. So yeah, that's kind of a weird smattering, but
Yeah, I mean, I have my musical inspirations are very, vary widely.
Yeah.
as well.
Eclectic is fun.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good.
I agree.
I mean, you gotta have that well-rounded base.
You should.
I wanted your consent.
I
So-
appreciate that, but you're welcome.
Do you guys happen to have any favorite venues that you like to play,
That's a great question.
I know we've only played there
and
once.
why? You gotta
why?
tell us why.
So we've only played there once, but I absolutely loved the spot in Springfield.
Yeah.
I thought that venue was
Full
so
stop.
cool. Yeah.
Full spot.
Shout out to the Spot and Springfield bands. If you're watching this, try to book with them.
They're so cool. Like the
They
spot.
take great care of you.
They
The
take good
staff's
care of
good.
you, and like the spot. But the spot is cool too. Like not only is there like all ages stuff, but then you can do bar stuff there too. But then they also have other stuff to entertain, and also again, like you said, they took really good care of us. They had a space where we could crash overnight, so we didn't have to try and spend money for lodging or crashing
that's all
cars.
big.
Right? That was huge right there.
Yeah.
And then they just took really good care of us. They were just sweet people. It was awesome.
That
That
was
was a really really cool space.
That was one of those funny ones where because stuff happens. It was whenever a Thursday night, so it was a good show. But we've had bigger turnouts. They don't know us. We're from out of town.
Yeah.
But it was a great venue.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this
sounds
place
good, too.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The trick is get a well-established local to headline. We didn't have that, so. But yeah, that place is cool. I would say locally, man.
Johnny's, obviously.
I mean, Johnny's is definitely the
It's like
go-to.
going
Yeah.
We've
like going home. I love it.
Dude, it is.
we've played there, no joke, hundreds of times.
Oh,
yeah,
for sure.
Like easily.
Johnny B's?
Yeah, Johnny's.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah,
different owners, obviously, back when
yeah,
John.
We
had
played the
it.
original one, that John Bach had.
I played there before.
Well, that's the only one that I haven't played under the new ownership
The
yet. But
Woolworth building.
Yeah.
back when John owned it, I mean, I played in that building
But whenever
too
John's
many
stuff,
times.
right? Yeah.
right.
because I played in Step It Up and Go with John.
Oh, with
yeah.
John. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we opened for everybody
Yeah,
that
yeah.
wanted
You were like
to
house
open
band,
for,
basically,
right?
You know,
Yes.
and
So it would have
Yeah.
been you, John, Evan, and whom else?
that was it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
You want
I
drums?
played drums and Evan on guitar.
So
John
I
on
thought
bass
you
and
looked
vocals.
familiar. That's definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I played for Stereotype Blackgrass also.
Oh shit!
So-
Yeah, dude. Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah,
People watching this like, what? Didn't these guys like introduce each
Yeah.
other?
Haven't they met beforehand? Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny's is an absolute staple, and I'm glad that it's still going.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, aside from the only downside is that it's not an all ages venue, but obviously, it can't be
Yeah.
what it is, and that's totally fine. Other than that, it's totally the perfect
No,
I
local
would say
venue.
another great local is the Hall.
Yeah.
Joe runs sound out there.
I just hate
He does-
loading. I hate loading my
So
gear
it does
in
suck
there.
because you have to
up damn stairs.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
The
But
venue's cool though.
yeah, that place, it sounds really cool. It's really loud, obviously, because it's brick, but that place is dope.
I liked filming there, even though I
It
hated
visually-
filming there. If that means
Yeah.
anything at all.
Yeah, visually, it is
Like what
it's
came
the
out
coolest
on
looking
camera.
venue.
But
Yes.
not doing it.
Yes, exactly, 100% that.
I know what you mean. Yeah, it's the coolest looking venue in Southern Oregon by a country mile for sure. I miss I think another two that I can think of that were just so integral to us coming up were the Treasure Trove in Grants Pass,
Yeah.
R.I.P.
I
and
remember that
Music
place.
Head.
Music Head.
Music
And
Head,
Wendy?
R.I.P.
Was it
Wendy?
Wendy?
Wendy King.
Oh,
She was on the
man, dude, we
radio.
played so many shows at the Treasure Show.
And we had some epic shows.
There were some really good ones there, man.
And yeah, Music Head is
So Wendy's not family of anybody or anything, is she?
No.
Okay, because she can fucking fuck that bitch.
Yeah, we have some thoughts.
Just if you're watching, Wendy, fuck you.
Oh, the venue was
Yeah,
great.
no, I,
Yeah, I don't.
The
We
venue
don't have to
might-
play nice
might be
anymore. She doesn't have a
great.
venue, so.
the venue might have been great, but we caught her fucking stealing or selling our fucking music one
yeah,
time.
so there was
I was gonna say-
we got screwed at mini
That
shows.
doesn't necessarily
So,
surprise
But the
me.
venue was dope just because Grants Passes always goes off just because I think it's just far enough away from Medford. People don't have a ton to do, and so they just they just go crazy at shows.
Yeah, we get a lot of every time we play, like when we what's that place next to Sound Lounge?
Our studio,
Yeah, Our
those are cool
Studio.
venues too.
Oh,
Shout
yeah,
out
I
to
haven't
Sound Lounge,
been
Our
there
Studio.
yet.
Yeah, it's got
Really?
a great,
Cool.
it's got a great, like really wide open space for people to get rowdy to the music in. Because some
And
venues
that's
are
all-
great,
And
you
that is an
sound
all ages venue.
you sound
that's
great,
cool.
but it's like hard for people to jump around and enjoy the music because it's just such a tight space. But
Yeah.
there it's like nice wide open. They got a big room in the back so everybody can load their gear in no problem. It's great.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, being able to load in comfortably is a big plus whenever you're playing.
Oh,
Having
yeah.
room for your fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And then sound that
Is
doesn't suck
yes.
is
That
a
is
huge plus.
Crucial.
That is so rare. It's a
That's what I like about New Johnny's, with the way he's got the tablet, he goes out
Yeah.
in front, he's actually listening, like,
Yes.
and can
So-
talk to you right there, and
So much better than back in the day, for sure. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the best.
He's got his hands on
best
nicer
sound,
nicer equipment too.
Oh, for
So
sure.
that's a
yeah.
big difference.
So, how many albums or songs, I don't know if you guys got, if you got a shitload of albums, then how many albums you got out? If not, how many songs you got out?
So we've got
How many albums you got out?
done.
We've got 4 full lengths, and we've got at this point we kind of around 2020 was our last full length, and we saw how the music industry was changing and how it's changed how people consume music. And I don't know if we'll go back on this, but we always keep talking about how we don't think it's worth doing full lengths anymore because people are just going to hop on Spotify
And listen to singles?
Three
songs at a time.
listen
or
to a couple
something,
songs or just like drop it in a playlist, and people, it's just not as common. And I had a hard time adjusting to this because I'm come from the ilk of I still like vinyl, where put it on, start from track 1 and go to the end. But we just have to be honest with ourselves, that's not how people consume music anymore. So we've started going into the model of trying to do EPs, singles, and I should know off the top of my head, but we've done quite a few singles and EPs in the last few years.
But 4 full lengths on top of that too. So I mean, we've
Yeah.
got a decent catalog. Some of it's really bad though.
There's our first 2 records
Some
actually.
of it.
Our first 2 records they were printed on CDs. We still have the master tracks. We've talked about getting those out there. They're the first one's real rough sounding, but we were kids and the way we recorded it was absurd. But the second one,
Some of those.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
the second one,
But
is
there would be
too
no
bad.
second one without the first one, right?
But we should. We've talked about getting those on Spotify just so everybody has access to those. And our 3rd record, we have that on YouTube. We should get that on Spotify as well. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you should.
Mhm.
I
But
had to learn
every-
that one off YouTube.
right.
everything that since this guy and this guy joined, we have all that on everywhere you could stream. But
Yeah.
so quite a bit of stuff.
Right on.
Yeah.
Cool. So, let me see. We're going to do individuals. That way you have to speak.
I love it.
Damn it.
If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive.
Dead or alive? No, you just made this.
No.
I know, I do that on
Son
purpose.
of a- Okay.
Yeah, I've got my answer.
Who would
Oh,
it
good.
be?
Go to
Yeah.
him first. He's ready.
Yeah.
Oh, whoever.
Yeah,
says it.
Jason DeVore from Authority Zero.
Oh, it's a good one.
Yeah, he's not only because I grew up listening to Authority Zero. Shout out my boys in AZ in AZ.
F30 in okay.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
they're from Tempe.
From Arizona.
Yeah.
Okay, the Arizona. Yeah.
So I've been listening to them forever. A huge inspiration. And Jason, beyond just the huge influence that they've had on me, Jason DeVore is very eclectic. He's done a lot of side projects. He does a solo thing. So yeah, the opportunity to be able to sit down with him and just make music would be huge, and I'd be very intimidated doing it. I'd feel super out of place, but I would jump at the opportunity.
Right on.
I think I have one. I would say Greg Graffin from Bad
Oh
Religion.
yeah, it's,
and from Bad Religion, and more than anything, just I would love to peer into the songwriting style and just like I just want to know a piece of the knowledge of like his process and everything, and so I think that would be incredible.
Yeah, that's a good one.
find out his process for what he chooses to point at.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good one.
Mine would be Travis Barker, just because he's a fantastic drummer. He does a lot of different styles of music too. So I think that he's
that's a good
interesting musician.
I like
and
his
producer.
drumline stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and he's a great producer as well, so
Yeah,
you could
so
learn a lot from him. Just like let's just work in the studio.
He's actually a very talented drummer.
He's ridiculously good.
Yeah.
I slept on Travis Barker because he was always just the drummer from Blink, and then like I actually like listened one day and I was like, what is this guy doing?
And it's easy to be like, he's good because everybody says he's good, but then like you said, when you really listen to it, you're like,
and then like when he was with Goldfinger at that show we went to, and John Feldman's like, he's the only person on the planet that can play this song.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I would Bruce Springsteen, hands down. Also, I think that as weird as that might sound, Bruce Springsteen has actually collaborated with a number of punk rock bands.
Bruce Springsteen goes hard.
Yeah, Dropkick Murphys, Against Me, Gaslight Anthem, and so I feel like if you did kind of like a folksy sort of punk song, and like Bruce, I need your soulful voice on this, like he could knock it out of the park and would be into it. So Bruce
Been on a
Springsteen.
big Dropkick Murphys kick lately.
Oh, they're great.
There's so much
I saw them at Warped Tour. They're so good.
Oh yeah.
So would it be, Bailey?
Elliott Smith, just my favorite songwriter. I don't.
okay.
God knows what I'd be able to contribute, but it would be just dream come true.
Right, I want to collaborate. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll just be here and you
who
do
do
it.
I think I am?
Tell me what to play and I'll
I
play
will
it.
get you whatever you need.
I'll play backup tambourine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you guys do on your off time? It says off time hobbies are gonna happen.
Yeah.
What do you guys like to do? When
Everybody's-
you're not playing music, what do you do?
I play hockey in my off time. It's
He injures himself so that he can't come to practice.
I've had 2 injuries that have taken me out of the music game.
Yeah, we actually weren't sure if he was going to be able to do Metal Fest because he was busted up his arm.
I picked it up like 7 years ago. It's the best. My favorite hobby outside of music. I dedicate so much time and money to it. So much money.
Oh yeah. So music was more of a hobby for me than it is now. Now it's something that I do just a ton of the time. And so around 2020, like right when the pandemic hit, I kind of was realizing like I need a hobby because the thing that I was doing to relax is not. I love it and it's not relaxing anymore.
That's also your job.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I got into Dungeons and Dragons, and so I've been running D&D for about 4 years, DMing, and I love it to death.
Huh.
It is something just completely outside of anything that I had done before or do outside of it. And I just adore it. I get to DMing again tomorrow night.
Heck yeah.
Look
Heck
forward
yeah,
to it.
dude.
I've never played a game. But
Oh,
it's
you would have
always
so
been
much
super
fun.
Yo,
Look
being,
at this room.
being a
You'd have
metal
so
guy,
much
no,
fun.
you
I-
would love it.
I believe it, but I just never have.
It makes
yet.
sense.
It's so much fun.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I music outside of playing music, because like one of my hobbies is like I love to go to shows. So like I like to go to a lot of concerts and stuff. Both like local shows, but also like I like to go up to Portland and go see like bigger concerts and stuff. I think I'm going up in a couple weeks to go see Bayside. We've got coming up end of this or in fall we've got Metallica. Several of the boys here are going to see Metallica.
Pantera.
Yeah, so that and like gaming. I'm a gamer. I ain't gonna hide from it.
Yeah.
I do photography for a living, but I'll do photography just kind of for myself as a hobby. I'm a film nerd, so I really love going to the movies. I have a podcast called Nerds with Opinions about pop culture stuff, and I really love pro wrestling. It's
Oh yeah, of course.
huge hobby and passion of mine. So
Right on.
Hell yeah.
what do you do, Andrew?
I golf.
I go.
There you
That's
go.
So I'm leaving it at 2 words. I said
it.
2 words. If you could do one thing before you die, What's that one thing?
Anything at all.
Just about one bucket list thing.
Let's keep it. No.
One thing.
That's a
I was just saying it's so big now.
that's a burger of a question.
I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta open my mind a bit here and think a little bit bigger.
We can come back to it.
I'm gonna say travel to Japan. Travel's like my top bucket list stuff. A couple years ago, I went to the UK for the first time, and so now that got like, okay, where's the next place?
Right on.
So probably Japan.
Cool.
Alright. I'll jump on your travel bandwagon. I've been to Japan. Been there, done that. no, you know, whatever. No, Germany. I think I'd love to go to Germany, and I'd love
It's a
to
good one.
look up like where my family was from and go and explore
See, that's
that.
what I did. I already did that.
Oh no, see, right, been there, done that. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think I'll jump on the travel bandwagon.
I'm on that bandwagon too.
See, travel.
It's total bucket list because it's not really feasible. But yeah, if I could do anything before I died, I would get to Tibet. That would be incredible.
Oh,
That would be
Tibet.
incredible.
Yeah.
I went to a middle school that had a pen pal program with a school for Tibetan refugees, and had a super awesome friendship with a Tibetan kid when I was in middle school. And God, it would be the coolest thing.
them.
I was gonna
Do
say
it.
Their name is Tenzin. I'm told it's very common.
Yeah.
But that would be the coolest thing.
Are they? Do you keep in touch with this person?
No, and he lives in northern India now. He's a refugee. But that would be if I could go any place in the world.
I was gonna say.
I would die. I would die from going there. I'd be too excited.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, we'll keep the travel bandwagon going. I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights, like
Yeah,
in person.
dude.
All right.
You know, it's like, I mean, because you see beautiful landscapes
That'd
and
be
just
my
beautiful
number two.
scenery,
It's so good.
and you see it and you appreciate it, but then you go there and you see it in person, and it's a whole different experience. So,
yeah.
you know, like Grand Canyon, you're like, cool, that's huge. And you get there and you're like, oh my God, this is so much bigger.
Yeah.
So Northern Lights would be mine.
Have you seen the video going around of expectations of seeing the Northern Lights with your friends versus reality?
No.
Expectations is like a video of the Northern Lights, but then it's a video of them seeing it for the first time, and they're all just screaming, just freaking out.
Mine's a little bit more unrealistic, but go to the moon.
I was gonna say,
love that.
I knew it. I was
Yeah,
like, Andrew's
that's
gonna
great.
say space. I
Yeah.
knew it.
That's not unrealistic.
great.
I don't
Say
know.
the
Man.
whole Earth.
It's part
Be-
of it.
Become a billionaire, and then you can make it happen.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's the future.
Someone has hit a golf ball on the moon.
Just buy the moon. Become a billionaire and then buy the moon.
Seems feasible.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna say space.
So, do you guys have a touring vehicle?
We
We
used
did.
to. We don't anymore, and that's partially kind of around the time where we kind of slowed down the touring. But we've had a couple in the past. But yeah, we don't currently. The last run we did, we kind of just did like a 2-car caravan.
That van that we had, that doubled as your main driver, right?
Yeah, it was a nightmare.
Yeah.
Big old like.
Oh, I was gonna
A
have you
windowless
rate the
van.
smell on 1 to 10, but
Oh, no, hold on.
Let's go back to the first touring vehicle. Instead of okay, mind you, this was 2006, but the guy that had it, he dubbed it the Stabbin' Cabin.
No.
So
It had a bit of a must.
it smelled like cat piss because you couldn't roll
Yeah.
you couldn't roll the windows up, and then cats would get it and then pee all over the seats.
Sure.
So I would say 10 being bad, 1 being like great.
yeah,
I'll give it an
that'll
8.
work.
I was gonna say 9.
Cat piss is up there.
Yeah, it is.
Like, yeah.
That's true. Maybe the amount of time it's been since I was in the Stabbin'
Yeah.
Cabin
See,
has
I'm just
removed
saying-
it from my memory a little
I'm gonna say
bit.
9 though, because then you couldn't roll up the windows, so it was constantly like airing itself out.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not, not a full 10.
Cyclical.
Okay, that's fair.
All right. It's still
Fun story about the Stabbin' Cabin.
do it.
When our band first started, I remember Jacob, our original guitarist, it was his van. He pulls up. We used to practice at my house. He pulls up, and it's just like, it's like hitching and like almost dying because it's just such a piece of shit.
Not a great rig.
And then my dad, who's since passed, but he was still around at that point. He's like, "What do you call that rig, Jacob?" And just like, art on the spot. He's like, "I called the Stabbin' Cabin." My dad fucking lost it today. He's like, "You call it what?"
Came up with it on the spot. Yeah, perfect.
Stabbin' Cabin. Yeah.
Good shit.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah. Did you guys all get to experience the stabbing cabin?
No.
That was just us.
Okay.
Way before my time. I mean, we had your van, which was
I had a van.
just as creepy. And then
It didn't smell though.
yeah, but it had no windows.
It had no windows, so it had a sexual predator vibe to it.
Your very first show, you rode in Jeff's van, which was kind of a junker.
That's true.
That was creepy. That had
That one wasn't so much of a smell thing as it was just
kind of like 4 out of 10.
I'd say more than
A little bit like butt.
more than anything. You were just worried you were gonna die.
It was dude smell. It was dude
Yeah.
smell.
Dirty ass.
All right. Get past that one. You guys have any touring rituals or like before show rituals? Most bands have something. They're like, I do this before every show, no matter what. Do you guys have any of those?
I'm old, so I stretch and I do vocal warm-ups. And then I always try to like pound knuckles or give a high five to each one of these guys before I play, and I'll say like, "Let's go, good fucking show, let's do this." And I don't know, it just makes me feel good. And then sometimes I'll rope them into doing a whiskey shot with me.
Yeah.
But
Tour hooch.
Yeah, tour hooch.
I don't have any really rituals. I'm usually like
I have
just have a beer before the set. Something, you know.
But if that happens every time, that's a ritual.
It's not like I'm gonna like be jonesing if I don't or anything, or like I'm like, oh, my set's gonna be thrown off because I didn't have it. But no, for sure, I just like to relax. That's my happy place is on the stage, so I just like to relax all the time. That's it.
It's not so much like a dedicated ritual, just something that I do everything in the same order every time. So
OCD.
Setting up all my...
Wait, you just said this isn't a dedicated ritual.
It's the only.
But then he goes into the most.
I mean, it's not like
To use his phrase, that is a ritual.
It's not a thing outside of like setting up my gear is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay.
It's just like I just set up my gear, and when I set it up in a very specific way, and it just kind of helps me get into that show mode. I do the same thing at hockey. I put my gear on the same exact order every time.
There you go.
So it's just just my way to dial myself in, get ready for the show.
Yeah. Not so much with this band because we are a wonderful, low stress, wonderful rehearsed unit. But when I've played shows that I'm stressed about, because usually I've been hired on and so I don't know the material as well as I could, and it's kind of a one-off, I will often make myself a playlist for the drive too, like a pump-up playlist, like more appropriate before an NFL game than a normal concert playlist. Kind of get myself in the headspace of going and kicking some ass.
Yeah, that's a good point. The pre-show playlist.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about that. I kind of do that too.
I do too.
Like I'll put on some music that's of the same ilk, just to kind of get me kind of pumped up.
Gotta get your mind right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Andrew doesn't do anything.
You always actually the one thing that you do that I like drummers. You can
learn
rhythm. Drummers can learn anything from this dude. Very rarely do I see we play a show with other bands and the drummers are actually like have their stuff completely set up before their set. This guy always does that, and not just trying to put him over because he's our drummer, but I see that and then
bury him because he's our drummer.
It's the worst when it's like the next band's up and then it's like, oh yeah, well they're still like setting their drums up or they're dragging it up on stage and then setting up. Just have it already set up like this guy.
The drums are kind of set up to where it's easy to kind of put together the pieces and then just make it real quick.
So you're nicer. You could have taken the opportunity to double on what I said and then bury other drummers, but you're that's nice.
Typical Andy.
Andy also has a punk kit, not like a metal kit.
That's true. That's a different.
He has like a ride, a couple crashes, and
you don't have the gong.
No China though, which is
a
big bummer.
Yeah, I want him to get China so
people
bad.
that are watching this shame him.
Yeah, he has no double kick and he has no China, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah.
A cowboy or cowbell.
Cowbell.
You need a
Cowboy.
cowboy.
We need to give me a cowboy.
I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times.
Get a saddle instead of a throne.
Save it up for a cowboy.
What's that thing? That knob on the...
Yeah.
Sorry. Shut up. Same question, but after the show.
Oh, the post-show ritual?
Chat with, I mean, we're so lucky that we usually, after a show, we get a lot of people coming up and they just give us a lot of props. And so it's something that I'm just like expecting nowadays, which might be a little conceited, but like, like every time, like, oh man, that solo that you did, that was so cool. Or like, you guys were heavier than I was expecting and that's awesome. So I'm just like kind of like expecting somebody to walk up and like give us props on the show. So when it doesn't happen, I get a little bummed out.
My big post-show ritual is just making sure that if there's bands after you, that you stick around and watch the band.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Not enough people do that.
Yeah.
Do you hear that shit right there?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Not much. You probably wouldn't be surprised because I'm sure we've all fallen victim to it before where it's like, I'm tired. But no, I really try and stick around. Not only... So I guess this would be a pre-show ritual too. Like before we play, if there's bands before us, I try and make sure that I, go to at least enjoy it, but also give it back. Not just I want to hear it because I want to consume the music and the art, but I also want to give some of that energy back to the people on stage because I know, being on stage, that it's huge to be able to get that energy.
Yeah.
So I try and make sure we do that before we play. And then after as well, any other bands that they're getting the love to from us. 'Cause like I said, it's a huge hobby of mine. I like to go see shows too. It's not just playing music. I like to experience it. So.
We all know what it's like to have played to one person in the
Yeah,
audience.
or there's a crowd and then you're up last and everybody leaves on the second band or whatever. So yeah, I'd say that's definitely my post show ritual. Would be like
I would agree with that. Yeah, pay it forward and try to watch all the bands before or after. I always like to, like what Craig said, I like to talk to anybody who wants to talk to us. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the smallest band in the world or the biggest band in the world. If people are there enjoying your music and they're quote unquote fans or whatever, just be cool, be nice. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. And it honestly is like, you might make that person's day. So if somebody wants to come up and like, talk to us, say like, hey, good set, I'm so into that, and I'll shake their hand and everything. So that, maybe work the merch booth. And then at the end of the night, I don't like to listen to any music. Like once I'm driving home, silence.
I do know that's one thing that we differ on. I know I'm always like, I'm going to put on tunes. And that's like, no.
Silence. I've been inundated with music, and so that's kind of a weird thing, but.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird, but I'll let you explain it. Let me see, where do I want to go to next? Oh, we don't got a whole bunch more. Worst gear used on stage. Have you guys been on stage and been playing and then...
Oh, yeah.
And then just everything just quits or something quits.
We had that happen today.
We were literally just talking about this after practice today.
I mean, that's happened recently. It was completely out of our control, but we played a festival in Klamath Falls, and that was his first show, and that was so bad. There was no monitors for the drums, so this guy was just flying blind, so to speak, and was just going off of muscle memory because he couldn't hear anything.
What I hadn't realized, because I just learned the set, and what I hadn't realized is that there are pieces of the set that are entirely dependent upon the drummer hearing Matt.
Or being able
everything,
to see, or at least
everything
being
stops,
able to see him.
And it's going to start back up when he gets a cue from him. And if he can't hear him...
It's a guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the greatest set we played, but the fact that like this dude couldn't hear anything, it was actually like...
Oh, you did great.
An absolute wonder that it went as well as
Speaking
it did.
of equipment malfunctions, what about the Rockaferry show that we just played?
What about that?
I was having we played with, was this the Steak Sauce show, right? It was just before we left on the mini tour. So we were playing playing at Rockaferry in the mall, and my amp just starts. It was cycling between cutting in and then being like incredibly loud.
It was exciting though.
It was like in the DI.
Yeah, and so there was something with the DI that was going out to the PA system, and it was just like either I can't hear anything or oh my god, you can only hear bass. And so I was afraid to play. I was like, I don't want to do anything.
The show in Salem with the perfect sound check.
And then by the time we played,
Yep.
like dude must have cycled to a completely different preset on his iPad. It was like
hallucinatory.
completely different.
We got off stage from soundcheck. We're like, oh, this could be the best show ever. Oh my god.
It was the best sound I've ever heard.
And we got on stage and we're like, what is happening?
Yeah,
Well,
so
that sucks.
my
Yeah, definitely.
is-
We were expectations were set up here, and then reality was way down here.
So like that guy was saving presets for each band. I swear, I think he put us on a different preset that was for the other bands because
it was confusing.
it sounded so different.
Well, that would be weird.
But hey, you know what? Like in terms of like the equipment we have available to us now, that's like we all have, you know, real professional sounding stuff. But I remember the days where when we first started, we would use extra guitar amps as like as a PA
Like
for vocals.
monitors and shit.
yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like, and it was god awful, but that's what we
had
had.
to do what you had.
So we had I remember we had this literally a wall of like combo amps. Some of them were for bass and guitar, but there was like 3 for vocals.
Yeah,
And it
one
was just,
for each vocalist.
yeah, like so our practice spot, there was like one wall that was just this wall of combo amps. So we just had them stacked up. It was ludicrous. But,
You know what? I think all those things. I'd say we're pretty good at dealing with equipment malfunction now.
The reason why they are
We're
how
very
they are today.
very well trained on fucked up equipment.
I will say though, I had a broken mic stand at our last show at Johnny B's, and that was debilitating
If you
because
play Johnny B's without a broken mic stand
At some point,
at some
right?
point,
Yeah.
then you,
How have you dodged that bullet?
I'm just gonna
then you
bring
hadn't
my-
played at Johnny B's.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring my own mic and mic stand from now on at
So
Johnny
just
B's.
in case.
Yeah,
just
I
a
will.
backup.
I will.
Yeah.
All love to Johnny B's, but yeah, that mic stand.
Oh, yeah.
Goddamn.
That's the reason why I like Johnny B's as much as I do, because all of the shit that I've
Yeah.
overcome
Right?
at Johnny
That's
B's
what I'm saying.
and
yeah.
all
Yeah, I
the
can see that.
experiences, good, bad, and otherwise,
Yep.
that I've had at Johnny B's, just it was.
I'll tell
I
you what.
love it.
That place is so important to
It's-
our local scene because
It's
there's
magical.
because the people that have been around forever have played there a million times because they know that's where they cut their teeth and where you go to like just grind out shows a lot. But then the people that are not as veteran in the scene, that's where you go to cut your teeth. So you gotta it's incredibly
And
important.
Johnny B's, they don't just have like certain places you'll see they cater mostly to this style
Yes.
of music,
Right,
mostly to metal,
Yes.
or mostly to rock, or this one mostly to country, or this one. Johnny B's,
Everything.
It doesn't
Yeah,
even have
I mean,
to just
it
be
doesn't-
music. It can be they do all sorts of cool
Yeah,
art
they-
and
they-
like
comedy
performance stuff there. Exactly.
and painting, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
lots of different art. But if you're going to listen to music, I mean, you can go to listen to damn near any type of music that you want at
There's
Johnny
a lot
B's.
of mixed
some
bill
one
shows
night,
too,
yeah.
and that kind of goes back to that thing I was saying earlier, where I love that when there's like you'll have one show and there's like a ska punk band with like a like deathcore sounding band, and then there'll be like a random like crust punk band. It's that can't happen everywhere. But Johnny B's has this cool environment of just like you said, they book anybody. And that's something special about that for sure.
I agree. Last question.
All right.
Where can we find you on social media for the people out there who have no idea who you are, where to find
Which is
your
most of
music?
Exactly.
Which may be because, but hopefully not for long, right?
So
yeah.
you can find us like I said for the music streaming. We're on all platforms. Another Anthem on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. YouTube. We have a YouTube channel with music videos on there, and then we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We probably put the most energy into Instagram, so follow us on Instagram at Another Anthem 06, and that's basically it. And then we're doing some local shows. Medford Metal Fest, come out and see us there. We're gonna be 2:30 p.m. Armageddon stage, April 20th. And then we've got a show.
All ages.
All ages, yes.
We've got a not all ages show coming up May 15th at Local 31 with Boss's Daughter. I don't think they've announced it yet, but I don't care. Whatever. Now you know about it.
Spoiler alert.
It's getting announced now.
And Boss's Daughter, if you're watching this, you haven't seen them, they're awesome.
They are so fun.
They're very, very good. So they're a treat. So come out to that. And we haven't played Ashland for a bit. So yeah, Local 31.
Right on.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's how you find them. That's where you find them. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much
Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us, dude.
I
Are you
appreciate
kidding me?
Thank you
Hell
so
yeah.
much,
Hell
man. We
yeah.
appreciate your time, dude.
Thank you so
That
much.
was a great
Thank
interview.
you.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. All right, till next time.
See ya.